And I'd like to look for approval of the agenda. Any changes anybody wants to make?
To approve the agenda as presented.
One second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda. Do we have any issues or discussion on that?
Can we just pull the calendar? I'd like to highlight a couple more things for June. Can we pull the calendar out of there? And we can just add it wherever, beginning or end, wherever you want to. Very brief discussion.
That should be hanging. No other changes?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items, including city bills of $753,622.67.
Right. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda and approve bills of $753,622.67. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we will move on to the staff and committee reports. Angela has included in our packet, camera policy, for, City Hall, Municipal Liquor Store, and the beach. I have read through it, I see no problems with it. Anyone else have anything that they may want to question on the draft?
Has all the supervisors seen this?
Other than what's in the packet.
Just so they can.
They've all received the packet, but I
Okay.
haven't discussed it with
Okay.
them or went through the scenario. It's just a draft for the council to look at and see if you guys were okay with it, then we can have them look at. I would recommend that the city attorney does review it also. But in the end, this is just a draft I pulled from the league, that another city used, just put in our information.
And I know supervisors are gonna have a meeting tomorrow morning too, so maybe you want to question, see if they have
Yeah,
anything.
I sure can do that, yeah.
I think if the supervisors look at it and send it off to the city attorney just to make sure we're covering all our bases.
Okay, so if you want to put that on your notes for tomorrow.
Yep, I sure can do that, yeah.
So this third comment versus cameras at the liquor store should also be updated. Is it something that we will get a bid where they're very similar to the ones that we currently are putting in?
I do know that Troy had talked about getting some new cameras there. I don't know that he's received a bid, but he did get the contact info for the ones that we had received so that he could contact them.
Yeah.
But he said it's just maybe outdated out there too, needing some updates, so.
Sure.
I think it's good if we all kind of were the same company or same scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And just one more note, I'd like to congratulate Angela on receiving her Minnesota Master Municipal Clerk for being named. Congratulations on your achievements. Good
I
job.
would like to mention just a little bit about it, because I usually don't brag about myself at all. But I do want to say, some people might think, what is a master? What does that even mean? Well, it's in a certificate. A master, we need to get a certified clerk before I can become a master clerk, which I received in 2010. And in order to get that, I had to have 50 points or credits of experience plus training, and then the slate is wiped clean, and you start on your masters. Then you have to get, again, another 50 points of advanced education and 30 points of professional, which is like experience or working in your profession or above and beyond, going above and beyond. So that took me another 15 years to get. So it has been a long time of work. It isn't just something I got over the weekend. So I do appreciate that you guys recognize that and the time I put in. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, keep up the good work, Angela.
thank you.
Now what do you go for after the masters?
I don't know if there's another thing.
20 years to get whatever it is.
We'll move on. Troy is, looking at hiring a part-time Abigail Eulenkamp at the rate of $13 an hour. Contingent on her passing drug test and background check.
So,
Okay.
I just had, I'm sorry, just thinking through this. So the last one, so when does everybody get trained? Is that happening tomorrow also?
No.
My understanding is the camera's up and running, so.
No, we don't have,
I have not had any, I don't have access to the camera or been trained on it, so I
yeah,
assume
but the
that.
camera has not been, has it been put up here?
Not inside, only
Yeah.
outside,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been, outside cameras are up.
Okay.
Yeah,
And is there a slated time when that's gonna happen and the training's all gonna happen?
I think it's more of a decision, are you guys okay with the internal camera with a button? To activate it versus
I think
like
from
an
our,
automated,
from our meeting or from our workshop, we kinda came.
Yeah,
okay,
So the
Then that
camera's
would
on the
be-
button or the voice is on the button? I got confused. there.
Both.
Both,
it
okay.
would be activated at the same time, yes.
I think that's
That was
reasonable,
fine.
just in case something goes south, you guys got something to,
And then have training, yeah,
so make sure they get
Yeah.
trained on, so if they
Okay.
got, all the supervisors got access.
okay,
None of the others are abusing it
great.
unnecessary. Okay, sorry about that, Aaron.
not a problem. We like questions. Okay, the city liquor store is looking at having, Abigail Eulenkamp at a rate of $13 an hour. Contingent on her passing drug test and background check.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for the Osakis liquor store to hire Abigail Eulenkamp at a rate of $13 per hour, contingent on passing of a drug test and background check. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Angela submitted a lot of information to us here on, budget that we're gonna need to do an amendment. Because we are running in a deficit on the payroll. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to look that over at all, or if we need Angela's input. I'm getting a little bit better at understanding how all the wheels turn. But I don't know if I'm knowledgeable enough to make any recommendations as far as how we correct it.
Is this something we maybe want to table and do at a workshop?
And
We can talk a little more and dig in a little deeper.
And if Angela could, be present to submit her ideas. She works with these numbers every day, where the rest of us look at the spreadsheets once a month.
I think the supervisors should look at their budgets also and see if they can cut, they're the ones that are getting pay raises, so they need to.
something they can find in their budget
Tighten
to,
up the belt just like the rest of us.
okay? It's something I can bring up at our meeting tomorrow that we have.
Just my suggestion there.
I would appreciate that very much if you would put that on your list.
Okay.
At a workshop, I think that's what I do.
And then we can compile all those suggestions together and Because that the amendment does not have to be done immediately, so we will, look at putting this, to the supervisors and put it on a workshop list.
We're not in a deficit now, right? We got payroll.
Yes.
We'll be in a deficit.
Well, yeah, by the end of the
Like
year.
in
I just don't want
End of
it,
the year,
everybody's going, no, we get paid.
No, by the end of the year, we're gonna,
Just want to clarify.
Forecasting.
yeah. Troy met with us, earlier here for a little meeting. And there's really, nothing that I saw that he needed to stay for, as far as the information that he submitted to us. And if you guys have any questions on anything, I think I can answer them.
On our cover sheet, that was the current check was April, right?
Yes, that is
Or
correct,
not February.
correct.
Okay.
No, I missed that. But yes, it was April.
I assume that, but we can just get that corrected for.
Yep.
And he is still looking at, trying to get some more, another bid on, paving of the parking lot, but he hasn't had any success getting, anybody to come down yet, so he's still working on that. Public Works, Darren is getting a quote for purchase of a trailer lift from Stock Center Rental. We had, previously approved to purchase a lift trailer to be used for banners and Christmas lights. And we have applied for an OSHA grant to use towards that purchase of that piece of equipment. So at this point, he's still working on that. He brought forth the compost site has a big pile of sand, that he would like to haul out. He wants our approval, or our input if we would allow him to haul it out of town. He didn't say where out of town he had.
Well, and he said that the place that, was willing to take was about 5 miles. Comment he said is we need to get rid of it somehow. If somebody takes it, we can haul it for our cost versus having a contract come in and paying them to haul it out. Unless we know of someplace closer that we could get rid of it or utilize it somewhere.
So is this sand, like sand that has had weeds in it and that has,
It's basically when he had the compost site cleaned up, so they came with that big mulcher and separator and it kind of divides everything, so the sand comes there, so it's like dirty sand, that's what they pick up off the streets as they sweep. And debris, so it's kind of not washed sand, it's not like you can use on a beach or a playground, it's dirt in there, so it's not something to use for that, so it's not good dirt or good sand, I mean, it would have to be somewhere where it's like fill.
So does Roger wants to haul it away?
He just said that haul to his, place.
Or to his place?
His hunting place.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd say let him do it.
I would too. If Darren wants to go ahead and get that done.
Well, isn't Lars gonna haul it?
I would imagine.
The guys would haul
Yeah.
it with the truck
Oh.
to his place.
Okay.
So the city would be the one hauling it.
It
Then
costs
it's
us to
not
have somebody come get it, and wait for us, so.
If we have to hire, if he wants to get rid of this big pile that's out there, they have to get a contractor like Mark Lee and just pay him to haul it on here. And that's the cost savings, unless, like I said, we know someone else that closer or in town that would utilize it. We
My
would
experience.
need to get rid of it.
Probably the most cost effective. It's something nobody wants, somebody wants it.
do you need a motion for that?
I would, say a motion to do that, or anywhere that he finds it's closer, if you're willing to allow him to do it, is what he's looking for.
I will make a motion to allow Darren to take the sand, the dirty sand that is down at the compost area, out to Roger Larson's property or another place if available.
I see.
Motion has been made and seconded to allow Public Works to move the big pile of sand from the compost site to Roger Larson's or a closer location. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Water plant, we have a couple of bills. From Eagle Construction and one from Nero Engineering.
I'll make a motion to pay the Eagle Construction bill number 17 for $18,168.75.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve Eagle Construction Bill number 17 for $18,168.75. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
I will also make a motion to approve the bill for Nero Engineering for $28,269.20.
Motion is made and seconded to approve Nero Engineering for $28,269.20. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Administrative citations. Kat is sick, so he is unable to make it this evening. Things are looking pretty good. There are 2 properties that he is talking to Steve at Sourcewell about. That will be getting the second letter. Giving them one more chance to get it cleaned up. If that does not happen, he will be issuing citations to those 2 properties. Beautification team, Miss Amber.
Amber.
I'm up with my best and then. Okay, so we have, our beach party coming up on June 22nd, it's gonna be right after the parade. And then the chamber is gonna do a ribbon cutting also down there, so kind of. There's nothing, I guess. So that'll be really nice. And then we wanted to say thank you to Chad Gullickson for getting these security cameras down at the beach for us. He did all that legwork and that was really nice to get that done. As you know, we've had vandalism down there already, so that was nice to, as we keep adding things, get that completed. Darren said that the park equipment is gonna go in by the end of the month here. I see that they've been down there working. I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Bathroom at the visitor center, the broken window. Do you know why or how that happened, or it looks broken? So you can see the insulation showing through the window, so like a tin window. I just didn't know with that project, how that was, or who, I don't know what
I
it is.
think that broke over the winter, because it didn't used to be broken. I saw that this spring that it was broken.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else noticed it. It's the end window. You can't see it from inside the bathrooms.
Because bathrooms, okay.
Yeah,
So,
so
Just
it
gotta figure
wasn't broken last year, and then it was broken after the winter, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see that there's like
Insulation.
insulation.
I just noticed it because I go on the meetings there now, I just never seen it before. Okay, thank you. We'll have to figure something out.
It's easy. All right, thank you.
I heard yoga, goat yoga went really well too.
Yes, that was, Haley Jensen. Yeah. That was a cool thing for them to do.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Amber.
Our committee, Jason Brown went through town and took an inventory of banners. Those have been reordered. And should be, up by the end of the month, I believe he said. Or we should have them, that they would be up by the end of the month. There's no additional, gonna be no additional charge to us for the reorder. And we have not made any payment, we have not been billed or made a payment for those banners yet either. We have received donations from Nelson's Community Club for $250, Osakis VFW for $650. And then the EDA right now is gonna cover the remaining cost of the banners. Thank you letters were sent to the donating entities. And then we have been discussing a bike share program that they came and discussed with us last month. They've now sent us the mock-up for what it will look like as far as when we get set up. I think that would be kind of a neat deal.
Looks great.
So,
I just wanna make one clarification, since we got brought up in the minutes. I just wanna be clear that the mural that was asked to
yes,
be put on our building, we wanted it painted
Yes.
and we don't care if she wanted to do paint over the historic brick. We said do it, and so it's not us holding it up.
no,
I just wanna make that
No.
clarification,
Yeah.
because she could paint the whole side if she wanted, but she said she won't paint that brick and she doesn't wanna do patriotic, so I guess that falls back on,
I was gonna say,
Whatever
I know that.
I did contact another painter and I've reached out to her twice. She's somebody that has worked in town again and she's not responded. So I'm gonna have to go down a different avenue and find somebody else.
okay, I just wanted to make that clear, cause we'd love to see it painted, but if she doesn't want to paint it, then that's fine. I know I can't do it.
I know Amber was looking at different avenues on that.
Yeah, but thank you for putting all the legwork in on that. I will make a motion to approve the minutes of the park meeting.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve minutes of the park meeting from May 27th, 2025. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment of $834.79 to WSB design.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve WSD design invoice of $834.75. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.
Was there a maintenance program with these bike things?
Yes.
There's-
Well,
I think we could.
The maintenance on the bikes, okay, let me start over. The cost for getting the bikes, getting set up is basically no cost to us. That's all been grant money. But we are responsible for the maintenance. Now, we already have, someone who says that they will donate $1,000 to put into that maintenance fund. And according to Gallup Horizon, maintenance on the bikes is minimal,
Okay.
maybe a couple $100 a year.
Like, are we gonna pay our city guys to come in and put a chain on it if it falls off on the weekend or something, you know?
Well, we
Flat
discussed,
tires.
I was gonna say, we discussed that, and we're gonna have to discuss probably a little bit more, but there are 5 bikes available.
Okay.
So, you know, especially in this first year, I think it's just gonna be probably, we'll have to see how it goes over.
Right.
But I can't believe that we're gonna have all 5 bikes out at one time, to start with anyway.
Oh, I like the idea.
One of the things that she had said is that little logo that's on there, other towns have done is where they kind of sell that advertisement, so it's on the basket on the bike, so each, like, company or somebody could pay a certain fee, which we didn't decide what that was. And then that would go into this maintenance fund, and then that would help to cover this cost, so that was what we were discussing, but I don't think we settled on it at the moment.
We had a discussion about community bikes before.
Yeah,
somebody volunteered to take care of the bike.
Yeah. Sign up or
I
something.
wanna see Rick,
Rick, I wanna say Rick too.
okay. But I don't know if he still wants to, but I mean, there might be somebody, a community member that might volunteer to help us out with that.
Yeah,
When
and
we-
these are set up in a like little kiosk that they have to put in their information and then they get the bike unlocked through this app, which is free, but you have to put in a credit card, but it's still free. But if you don't return it, then there's gonna be a charge or something happens, so you're kind of responsible for that bike. So,
So I know you don't want the guy, I mean, it doesn't make sense for the city, the crew.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they got a flat tire and
Yeah, well,
we're gonna call them guys in on, pay them on call price.
I
I
would-
think we'll figure it out. I agree with you.
No, I like that idea.
One bike they can't use for the weekend, and
Right.
six on.
Yeah, that's right.
And is there any other questions about any of the, committee board reports? If not, we will move on to, public comment. Is there anyone or open floor? Is there anyone present that would like to, approach council to consider things for future meetings? If not, we will move on to our next unfinished business. Levine's Lakeview Drive, the gravel has been spread. And Darren is meeting with NBC Drainage on, the drainage and ditching issue. He's looking at getting a cost estimate on that, and as soon as he, has more information, he will bring that forward.
And we were short on our bid for gravel. No. We didn't use up whatever it was.
Correct.
So he's gonna probably get some more gravel out there in the back corner to try to crown that road up more. He told me that. That's all
I
he
drove
said.
it tonight before the meeting, I thought it looked pretty good out
So,
there.
okay, nice gravel.
I will admit I don't go out that way, but I thought,
Well, I
I
had-
know what I'm talking about.
As I say, I had one of the residents tell me that right now it looks the best that it's looked in 35 years. So,
It's good. Probably hasn't been touched in that long either, so.
so it was kind of nice to hear that too, so. Snow removal ordinance, the committee did meet last week, on snow removal. We are gonna have one more meeting, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. We've asked Justin Dahlheimer to join us to get some input from him. And, hopefully by next meeting, I will have some more information for you guys to consider as far as what we're gonna do moving ahead on snow removals.
Only thing I had is, if you do have a opportunity, if you want general public information, John, who moves snow, he said he'd be more than happy to give some suggestions or ideas too, so if you wanna stop in and talk to him,
I
or
will.
give him a call, or
I will do that.
I'll call first.
I was gonna say, just like the other day where he was walking out the door and I was
Yeah.
walking in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he would be more than happy to talk to whoever about it.
okay, I will get a hold of him and discuss some things with him and, like I say, hopefully with one of the next couple of Fridays, we'll be able to meet again on that. City cleanup day, was held on May 17th. The Lions, Sentenced to Serve and the Lake Association were there to help. Had a total of 66 loads come through, 6 from the Lake Association. And we collected a total of $3,600 and $3,615 for both cleanup and the pre-pickup. We have not received a report or invoice from West Central yet. Expenses for the ads and refreshments was $402.50, so we right now have a total of $3,212.50. That will go towards the Infant Fireworks Fund.
This was kind of a quieter year, wasn't it?
It was, yes.
Okay,
It was noticeable.
that's too bad.
That it was slow. For whatever reason.
Now, did we change the dates?
We've always been either fishing opener or weekend after. It kind
Okay.
of depends on what Central was open. Well, last year we had some complaints about being on fishing opener. So, me and Jeff had the next weekend open, we said we're gonna try that weekend. It was the same week that the Lake Association had their meeting, so if those group of people were gonna be up,
Mhm.
maybe it would work for them, so. We didn't have a lot of them come through. Even though this is the
I was gonna
first
say,
year
this
we're
is
trying
for
that.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
And we did
that
have,
one
4 of them come and volunteer to help kind of go through lines and help direct people and make sure they're in the city and make sure they're in the Lake Association, but we kind of have a smooth running program already. It worked pretty easy. so.
Good. Well, it's nice when it's like consistent year after year, you
Yeah.
kind of know what you're doing and where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good, still a nice turnout.
Fireworks. We've received donations from the Lake Association, VFW, and Nelson Community Center, all giving us each $1,000. And we carried over from last year, 7,151, adding the cleanup day of the 32,1250, we're at a total of $13,363.50. Last month, we approved $8,000 for fireworks. Do we want to keep it at that amount, or do you want to adjust that?
Now, some of this, have we ever used this for the Christmas fireworks too, or does the chamber strictly?
Chambers always pay for that.
Okay.
We just pay for there's an insurance
Yep,
that
okay,
needs to be done each time because Craig does set them off
okay.
on behalf of the city, so we only pay for that.
I'd say we go up to 10, leave, put 300 in there.
But you did say the prices remain pretty much.
Pretty close, yep. We also do have to look, it is a Friday night, so I know that the population in town is gonna be huge. It's gonna be big, it's one of our, I mean, I don't remember the last time it's been on a Friday night.
Yeah.
So,
So some of that has to come out for West Central yet? Or is that,
I would assume we're not gonna get a bill because of the low views. Last year, we didn't have a bill and it was higher, so.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think we're gonna get a bill. Yes, that's my,
Spend it all in 1 year.
right, that's
Carry over some,
Yeah.
the difference.
we carried over some last year too, didn't we?
yes.
yeah,
I mean,
and maybe you wanna go with 9,000. You know, I mean, that's still be 1,500 up or whatever from previous year.
we're at 75, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great, I just.
Yeah, no, that's my caution.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice to keep the pool there for
Yes.
future, if we have a bad year. Yep. I know we're gonna have a lot of population in town that night and,
Well, for another 1,000, you'd add quite a few.
oh yeah. No,
I think 9 would be beautiful.
Would somebody like to amend the motion that we made last month?
I will amend the motion for fireworks for May's meeting to approve for $9,000 for fireworks in this July.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to amend the motion from May's meeting to adjust the price of $8,000 for fireworks to $9,000. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thank you.
Now you're gonna get smiley faces and all that good stuff.
They were already in the works. Problem is when they go off, people ain't even looking at it.
And it's always great when you like get the smile like the right way and it's not like.
I know, we're trying to get them so that they're oriented and they're weighted right, but it doesn't always happen.
No, you guys do a great job. We always enjoy the fireworks.
Okay, we'll move on to the wastewater project, I. Oh my gosh, see, now you gotta remember I'm old. So is it Brian?
Yes, ma'am.
Brian from WSD is here.
And Jeff.
And
I'm also
Kevin.
Kevin. I'm Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
I'll be your new Paul Sandy, essentially. You guys have met. We'll hand out our proposal here.
Did you bring us pens? That's a nice topic.
Sure. Then I also did print out, so this is part of like the, this is like the, I-9 reduction work, oh, sorry. Well, it's my favorite. So if you flip, I would start with this one here, if you flip to the last page, you're gonna see the map there. So I talked with Darren a decent amount about this, and I know you guys approved last month the Main Street, the lateral reviews and inspections. Part of that amendment from the MPCA also included the other green streets there, so that Second Ave, Pike Street, those other green routes there. So what our proposal is basically to take this from the inspections that the televising folks are doing through to the next step of seeing does it make more sense to try to do lining on these lines, does it make more sense to do full replacement? There's some other issues along with this that there's some houses that have services running under other houses that Darren was speaking about as well, so all sorts of.
It's my house is one of them.
Lovely, so you're well aware.
Oh, yeah.
Were you the house that lost their water when the other water was shut off?
No.
Oh, okay, that was the difference.
No, but my neighbor like scoped his and he's like, it runs right into yours. I'm like, wow.
Awesome, yeah, so that is kind of what we're dealing with, and basically, there's so much going on, like you were just talking about, that this is basically to gather as much information as I can with Darren and the televising, put it all together and give you guys a good idea of what it's gonna cost to try to televise, what it's gonna cost to do full replacement, and kind of give you this is the problems you're gonna fix if we do full replacement, these are your problems that you're gonna fix if we just do televising, to meet that MPCA mandate, and then also to see where our funding is even sitting and if this is even really a feasibility or like feasible and what our next steps are. So I didn't call it like a feasibility report, you might have heard that term before. But the final memo that we're kind of proposing to do is essentially like a feasibility of, this is what the overall project is going to look like. This is how you could go down. Here's one rabbit hole of doing a full replacement, here's one of doing some, lining, and we'll even kind of look at a hybrid model of, alright, there's some lines that we can line, some that we do full replacement on, and kind of basically just giving it some time with you guys and staff to come up with a solid plan of attack instead of just trying to make the problem go away without really putting a lot of thought into it. Any questions? Otherwise, thank you guys very much for accepting or reviewing our proposal and taking it into consideration.
Well, it's nice that you guys give us a timeline too of what you're projecting to look at.
Yeah, and the big push there on trying to get everything to you guys by that September meeting is so we can try to come up with what our next steps are. This is supposed to be remedied by 2026, or in 2026, so that kind of still gives us enough time that if we want to go a couple different routes, we can. And gives us enough time to consider our options instead of rushing into something and then being able to still get it this winter / early spring if we need to.
Do you know, have most of these people in the green area already had their scopes of stuff? Or is that something totally different? Is that different? It is different, I'm sorry, excuse me.
That's fine. Angela and I were discussing this exact same thing, so.
What's going on? I'm sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine. So we would still need to get the laterals televised on everything except for Main Street, correct? We approved Main Street last
We
month.
approved Main Street, yeah.
So we'd still be looking at that like Second Ave, East Pike in those couple spots. And I think
So can you refresh my memory? Is this something that you go from the residential household or do you do from the?
The company that you guys use for the Main Street one actually does it from the instead of in-house, which is always quite the rate to get done.
Yes.
So they have a camera that drives down, once they see a hole, and sends basically another camera up into that lateral to review it, and then it comes back down and they keep moving and going about that. So that is something additional that we should likely discuss and potentially, it's gonna be rough because we don't have exactly what that cost is for all of those additional roads, since we're not exactly sure how many services are truly on that stretch at this point. So that number would be a little bit of an estimate at this point. That would be a separate, go ahead.
I was just throwing out there, Madam Mayor, maybe on the televising part, since you don't have the exact number, maybe we could come up with a not to exceed, that, if that might be your pleasure, so that we don't just keep running cameras all over the place, and all of a sudden you guys have to build it you're not expecting.
And I think we actually, last month it was a per service price, correct? Am I remembering
Yeah,
that
and
correctly?
maybe you can refresh me, when we talked last time with Johnson Jet Lighting said $250 per service. But that was covered by this cost or not covered by
That was not
it? So that's in addition to,
correct.
The
Yeah, we
price here.
still need them to do the televising of these additional roadways additionally. That would be that $250.
so when they've come around and done our kind of jetting and cleaning each year, they went through all of town in the last 5 years, so they not have that video anymore, or you're saying you
So
need
they
to
have
do
the
video?
main lines, just not the laterals.
Services.
Right,
Yeah, the services.
right, and that's what this 250 was.
Yeah, so that would get us the additional services that we need to televise as part of this PCA. This piece of information. The I reduction, that was originally submitted back in December 7th, 2023.
Can the council consider this for a month? If they'd like.
And that's exactly what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, I mean, it'll push that schedule a lot, that's all.
I think we should table this,
And I can attempt to review that televising in those areas and see if we can tell which of those laterals are active, or those services are active on these couple streets. I believe we have access to those televisings. And I can try to get a number for that as well. I'll maybe try to work with Darren to try to get a separate number for that work on top of what ours would be.
I think we should table this, for right now.
We already talked about having a workshop meeting, so we can discuss a little more in detail then, and if we get information from you guys by then as well, we can go through all of
And
that.
I was gonna say, cause if we table it, we're gonna push it a month. And we have to have it completed in 2026, you said.
Yep. Then this would just be like the preliminary
Right.
section of this, you
Yep.
know, there's still quite a bit of work, but the benefit, part of the proposal is to do the survey of the streets and whatnot, so we're ready to go on that This should get us to basically what we're calling 30% plans, would be like real rough idea of what we're going to plan on doing out there. And then once we have an idea of exactly what we want to do, then we'll finalize those plans. So the next process should be a fairly quick, and we should be able to roll right into the next section of the project.
Fantastic.
Can I make that motion?
Of course, I can make it. I would like to make the motion to table the discussion of the, I'm so sorry. Right, okay, so I am going to make the motion to table the wastewater project, the I&I or the MPCA planning that we are looking at doing to our next month or to our next workshop, excuse me.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to table, wastewater project I&I/MPCA proposal to our next workshop. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And when is your
Motion
next
carries.
workshop? Just to verify, so I
I-
can get our stuff.
We haven't scheduled it yet,
Okay.
but we will have to,
Be before,
it'll
be before next.
be before next month.
Okay. I will get our folks working right away then on trying to come up with a number of services so we can get that one there and on what that section will cost. So then you guys can have a full ballpark number of everything, so.
And would it be all right if you email him our workshop date when we get that
When we get it
organized?
set up, yeah.
Thank you. And when you
Awesome.
know,
Right. Try to keep you guys in the
thank you,
loop.
John.
Yes,
Thank
thank you,
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Looking at capital improvement planning and needs assessments, Laura from Foley. Engineering is here to discuss.
Thanks for having me back. Because not that long ago, I picked someone else that goes one point quick, so, just want to pass these around. And if you remember after the last meeting when I came in, we were talking about the housing grant. One of the things that got brought up was our needs assessment and our funding analysis and that process that we worked on. And, oh, perfect. I made a couple of those changes that I caught Chris with, so yeah, go through that. There you go, thank you. And I'm just gonna kind of go through this. I'm gonna make this, I'm not gonna go into a ton of things, but just based on our conversation that we had during our housing meeting, the fact that we became referred to Angela based on our work that we've done with other agencies and our success with our funding. We wanted to present this as well and be able to offer you guys, as before, like we had talked about, that full needs assessment along with the funding analysis and really look at the work that we do and we our strength that we have. So in front of you is just a little bit of an introduction around Bollig itself. Brian Bollig, he started Bollig Engineering in 2027. He was a city engineer and started seeing that there was things that were getting missed along the way, and really what came out of that is Bollig Engineering. And now at this point in time, our niche market really is small communities of 5,000 or less in population. And really what we bring is our value added, our funding analysis and our funding work that we do for communities. As I talked before, we've had a ton of success when it comes to getting these projects funded and being able to see them through the end and try to reduce as much of that cost burden on the residents that we see. We take a little bit different approach when we're working through these projects, and I'll get into a little bit of that as we work through it. But again, we have offices located across across the state, also down in Sioux Falls, and our main office is in the Wilmer location there. And we have 52 engineers, we have interior designers, we have architects, we have designers right there. And again, we have experienced pilots, we have aeronautics department, and then we have a whole funding team that works side by side with the rest of our team and making sure that we have a holistic approach when it comes to our engineering services. So again, our main goal is to make sure that these projects are done in a way that is an affordable option for the communities. On the next page, you're gonna see that a little bit of information about just kind of our high performing as an industry leader. The PSMJ is a recognition program that's a national recognition program that really highlights the top firms across the United States. And as you can see, Bollig has fallen into that circle of excellence several years in a row, including just last year. And they take several metrics that come into play to come up with that. So I feel really fortunate to be able to be part of a team that was recognized and be able to share our story with other communities across the state itself. So the services we provide, again, is encompassing when it comes to the streets, the stormwater, drinking, waste, surveying, and really that construction observation, that RPR work. We layer our projects. And so we always make sure that we have the community and those decisions are coming back to this table. You guys get to determine the speed and the next steps and swap out priorities as they come through and really take the leadership. We come to you with recommendations, but by all means, you guys steer the ship when it comes to that. And we also bring in stakeholders within the community too, if that's something that is your approach that you'd like to take on that. So again, our Bollig commitment really is relational. Again, our team approaches things a little bit different, and the expertise that comes right from the city. And Angela was phenomenal in working with on that housing grant. It was a short turnaround. I went back and looked at my email, and she had emailed me on April 4th. I responded on April 5th and came here. You guys approved the resolution, and her multiple years in work came through because she was able to get me the documents I needed. We met one other time, had maybe another phone conversation, and we really got the things put together, and I can say it was successfully submitted today. So we got the documentation. You might get an email, I don't know for sure or not, but I received the notification that everything was submitted. And so we're incredibly responsive to the community's needs, and we wanted to make sure that this was the route that we went on that. But again, part of that is because of our relationships with those agencies, the industry, being able to find those partners to connect to make these projects work. And that's where I really do feel that we overexceed some of the other expectations that are out there. We're resourceful. I'm gonna go back again. I'm not part of the funding team, so I'm the funding program manager. And projects that you're gonna see across the board from our agency, you're gonna see anywhere from possibly 6 to 8 funding sources to get a project done. We interlayer them because it's the only way that we can see for these small communities to be able to get an affordable project done. And you're gonna see a variety of funding sources that come in, whether it's on the federal side, the state side, local funds, local foundations, nonprofits, whatever it is, counties are involved. We kind of bring them all into play so that we can make sure we're leveraging those funds across the board. Just digging in a little bit on the housing side, you guys have already set up a ton of great things. Your EDA has things in place. Those are things that really do well and allow for your applications to be competitive. You've done those TIF districts, you've done some amazing planning. Those are all things that come into play that are really assets to your guys' community. We're reliable. So when we say we're gonna get something done, we're gonna get something done. So if you're up against the board when it comes to some timeframes and you guys are in agreement and things, we're gonna make sure those things get done and meet those timeframes. Especially in the funding world, there are some tight timeframes. On the federal side, when you're looking at like a USDA or a rural development type of thing, that's an open application process. Those things are open throughout the year. But when you're dealing with state funds, there are specific timelines that have to be met, and they only come around once a year. If you miss that time frame, you're out for an entire full year. And so it's really important that you hit those deadlines. We also do a ton of planning on the front end because these funding opportunities can just pop up, such as this housing one that popped up, and you have a short window of time to get those things done. So we do all the planning on the ahead of time so that we can come to you at the next council meeting and say, we have 2 weeks that this is open. You guys want to move forward with it, you get to make the call and we can move on it because we do a lot of that prep work ahead of time. The other thing, again, I just go back to that whole responsive thing. We make sure that we're here. We have staff dedicated to your community itself, and we're able to answer those questions. It's not uncommon for me to be answering texts and phone calls on weekends and evenings and things like that, but those are important things to that. And you're gonna have a team. You're gonna have, like I said, those engineers, the architects, the surveyors, those things back at our office. And we'll be able to have that open communication, not only with Darren Public Works, but also with Angela and anybody on the council at any point in time. We want to make sure that we're available for you. Our approach too is we do it a little bit different in the fact that we do that holistic needs assessment. I know one of the things in conversations with the mayor and with others, and it plays out there, is that we want to know what are our needs for the community, because we want to start planning. What needs to get done this year? What needs to get done in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And so the only way you can get all those things identified is to go through that nitty-gritty needs assessment at the very beginning. And that might come into play, like, again, additional stakeholders in your community. Whether it's different community groups, it's you as a council, it's your different departments here in the agency. We kind of gather all that information in a short period of time. We have different meetings, and then during those conversations, our funding team is working in the background, and we're taking a look at those opportunities that can come to play. Because when we come to you and present these, we want to be able to have a plan of where we think these things can go, what that might look like for the city itself, and an affordability type of option. But what that also does is it allows you to be able to pivot. If a new funding source comes up, maybe it was a project that was down on maybe the 5th or 6th in that priority list, but hey, here's this opportunity. Do you want to move it up? We can move it up. We have all of those things in place that allows you guys to be able to make quick decisions and plan decisions to benefit the community itself. Again, we go back to that whole funding and finance, and again, I will talk about our funding program, and I'm very proud of that, and we have a great success with it. And also we partner with other entities that you might already be working with. I know I had a conversation with Angela, and she said, oh, we're currently working with DDA, is that okay thing? And I was like, yes, we love working with Jason and Shannon and the whole DDA crew, and that's what we encourage you to do. It's the only way that you guys are going to be able to plan efficiently and to be able to make these projects work, is having that municipal third party there to be able to offer that information to you and kind of walk through some of those recommendations that we might have on the back end. So we work in tandem with that, and we always encourage them to be part of the team when we're working through things. And then implementation, again, I go back to the fact that we're in it for the long haul, and we have those RPR services, and they're going to be there watching those holes get filled and throughout the project, and being able to report to you guys, and we just want to make sure that we're there from the start to the finish, and making sure that you guys are getting the product that you want and throughout the time that we're here. So again, I talked a little bit about our comprehensive services, and I won't go into too much detail about that, but really, when it comes down to it, we're just an extension of your guys' internal staff. And we know that Angela wears 15 different hats on a daily basis. And she has people coming in and out. And really what we can do is just support her and be able to complement the things that she's doing. Because when you get into these big projects, and you're already in the middle of a great water project, was just fabulous. We know that she's got a lot of stuff that she's got to get going, moving through that. So we help the city staff be able to administer those funds once they've been acquired to get a project to go through. And our relationships that we have with the different agencies and things too, we can assist with those different disbursements and walking you through and prepping all the materials. too. And making sure, our experience in working through all the wage compliance and Davis Bacon's requirements with each of those different funding sources. Like I said, when you have 6 to 8 funding sources, they're all gonna have different requirements, and we don't rely on, the city staff does not have enough bandwidth to be able to do that. So we wanna be able to support them as we can, so. This is just a little bit again around our funding success and where we've really exceeded and I can do a little bit of breaking about our staff and our team that we do have. Our comprehensive engineering, we've said this multiple times and others have shared this story that we're really a funding agency or a funding firm, and we just have really good engineers and architects that complement that. So our engineers go into these projects thinking about funding in the background because we built that into all of our scenarios. And so that's where you're gonna see some of those things come into play as we're looking through recommendations and priorities as it go out in the bulk of the community doing some of that needs work. Our grant writing, we've had a lot of success in that, and I'll get into some of the more of the numbers around that. But just one to add to that, the congressional directed spending request that comes around once a year, and this is where your congresspeople and senators here in the state of Minnesota pick out projects that they can add into that bill. And I can say successfully, we found out last week that a quarter of all of our applications made it through. There's only 40 projects that get selected on a state basis, and you're dealing with the Minneapolis, the St. Paul's, the Rochesters, and things like that. And I mentioned to you, we only work with communities that are 5,000 and under. So we're competing with those big time communities that have their own staff that are doing this work and things like that. So we're really excited about that, just getting that announcement last week. And that's just one of our stories that we come into play when it comes to just some of our grant writing work. The agency advocacy, that plays right into that. Some of the reason that we had such success with those recent community funded projects is the fact that we built relationships with those congresspeople, their staff. That's really important. So they know about the projects that are being implemented. We have the support documentation in place. And so they know about these projects before they're even submitted. And that's one way to be able to continue to advocate. I was down at you probably listened to maybe some of the special session today. I don't know on the state side, but I spent a big chunk of time down at the Capitol this last session, advocating for our communities, walking hand in hand with them while they were requesting funds and things like that. And while the bonding bill is a little out there at this point in time, and they're gonna hopefully, things will come out of that, but it was just it's one thing that we need to continue to support. And so we work directly with those legislators and making sure that things are getting submitted at the right time. We're making sure that they're submitted by this Friday, all state MMB applications. So if you wanted to get on the boat for bonding of next year, you had to have your application in on Friday. And so we've done that for all the communities that wanted to move forward with that process. So if that's something that Osakis wants to do, we'd be right there with you and being able to support you through that process. And so again, agency advocacy, it's really about those relationships that we have with those different individuals and the funding sources that come into play that make our projects successful. We've just kind of outlined some of our funding successes and just kind of giving you an idea about just some of the communities that we highlighted here and where you're going to see some of those project costs and then some of the grants that come into it. One of the things here that I want to point out is that so many of the projects that we're working on, because they're significant projects, we do phased approaches because it's one way for a community to make their other projects an affordable option along the way. And we spread it out so that we're able to go to some of those funding sources multiple times along the way in order to get the project completed. And so this just highlights a few of those projects that have had some great grant success. You're going to see a couple of those 100% in there. You're going to see the fact that we were able to kind of walk through that. And so it again takes a look at reducing that cost burden that comes into play when it comes to the small communities at that point. Just one example that we highlighted here is a city not too far from you guys, and we've been working with them through projects since 2010, and we're still in active projects. They had a lot of needs, but for a small town, in order to be able to get all these needs met, we've had to spread these projects out in order for them to be able to access as much grant as they could. So you're going to see here from just the 2010 to 2020, almost 75% in full grant for that project itself. And now we're actually working with that city. They too received an allocation directly from the appropriation. And so we're in the middle of that project. And so that one's going to be paired up with like 2 other funding sources. So again, we're nearing that 100% funding, grant funding for that project. So it's just another success. And it was a way for us to be able to pile on different leverage sources to make that an affordable option. But again, we spread this out because we knew that the city was not ready or not able to financially be able to do it in one lump sum. And what this did is it just did it on a yearly basis, and it spread it out, and it was a way for them to be able to reduce that cost burden once again. I think last time I was here, you guys heard me discuss that, just kind of some of our success too. And really as an agency right now, we have right around that 66% grant funding success when it comes to total project for funding. That's a considerable amount when you take a look at the actual industry averages anywhere from 0 to 30%. So again, I'm just highlighting that and the fact that there are ways to be able to get your project funded in a way that's going to be efficient for the community itself and allow them to be able to reduce some of that burden that goes back on the city and the residents itself. Big picture planning. I've said this once before, but you know, when we come out and we do that needs assessment, we're taking a look at everything, and the reason is that we pile on projects. We want to know the whole, all of the needs, I guess, in a holistic approach, because what that allows us to do is to be able to go to these funding agencies and say, this is their total needs at this point in time. We need to be able to reduce some of that. And when you're taking into account utilities and streets, there's mechanisms that allow you to get portions of that street paid by getting some of the utility work done versus having to take a straight up loan to get some of that restoration on the street. There's ways that come into play that make the most sense for the community itself. And also those agencies are taking a look at city affordability, utility rates, and all of those things. So when you put all the needs in front of them, they understand that you still have a road that you have to travel in order to get these things done. So we just want to make sure that you're aware of all the things that we can do at this point in time to really accomplish less cost to the city and really a long-term effectiveness, and get together that 2-year, 1-year, 5-year, 10-year plan as you're doing a lot of that planning along the way. One of the things that I did want to highlight too is just through some of the conversations that we had with the mayor and then with Angela and taking a look at it, we really believe that we can kind of be that ability to be able to move away from some of the current kind of piece by piece milling some of these projects and being able to take a look at that total project and securing the funding, not only for your sanitary sewer stipulation agreement that you have with PCA that was put into place in 2023, and now we're talking about it, something needs to happen by 2026. On the state side of things, last Friday was your deadline to get your intended use plan put through. What that means is that is the application if you're ready for your construction project in 2026, which your stipulation agreement has stated was supposed to take place. I know you're in the works, and we can have that communication with PCA, but that planning should have happened. This planning that you're doing right now, possibly in 2025, should have been done in 2023 and prioritized. So you could have gotten on that list to make that construction by 2026. And that's some of the work that we do ahead of time. And really, this would allow, what we see is that being able to make those infrastructure improvements, not only to your underground utilities, but also the streets and the total wastewater at that point. We know you have a good thing going with Nero and that water project, and that's fabulous. They're experts in the drinking water side of things, but we see that we could come into and be a great part when it comes to the other portions of this project itself. Another thing too that we wanted to discuss is, has there been any of those other applications that have come in, like I mentioned, with the CPSRs and things like that for this project? And I'm not sure if that's something that you're aware of, but we know that we would be able to get those things done and hit all those right mark timing things when it comes to the funding itself. One of the things too that we wanted to was that we had received notification that through some of our conversations with some of the agencies that you had applied at one point in time for BDPI. That's the business development and infrastructure funding at that point, and it was not successful. And we have those conversations before applications go in with those agencies so that we're not encouraging additional costs and things like that. And we can do some of that planning ahead of time. And they did receive some additional funding for that source just today. It was going through. And so that's a thing that we can discuss as well during that time. But we really would think that we would like to kind of inject our funding sources and our processes at this point in time into the city of Osakis. And I feel like that we can play a part and be part of the success that comes into it. And we have our method that's worked for communities all across the state. And we feel at this point in time that we would love to be able to do, again, that zero cost needs assessment for the entire city, be able to provide that, all the needs and put it in front of you, and you guys be able to prioritize that list along with that funding analysis that comes into play as well. So that you guys have a game plan as to where you're going. So during the last time you had asked me to come back with that, and so I do have it in hand with me again. And again, this is a commitment. It's an agreement to be able to move forward with that, the community, if this is something that the city of Osakis would like to do and pursue. So is there any questions based on what's talked about really fast? Sorry about that, guys. I tend to do that. But there was a lot to cover, and I know you guys have projects in place and needs and things like that. So in front of you, we're going to find, I think maybe you have a phone number each of you. I don't know, but that'll be.
Yeah.
This is our.
This is gonna be the income.
And then yes, and you have the task order there in front of you too. So what's in front of you is just that agreement between the city itself and then also the task order. And as discussed before, that anytime there's a project or anything like that moving forward and in this situation where we've had initial needs and funding assessment, we bring this forward to you. We want you to be in the driver's seat again, to be able to approve anything. It's always, you're gonna know the cost of everything up front before you move forward on anything. And so also again, that agreement that's between falling in the city of Osakis, at any point in time, there's a 7-day, we're done kind of a deal. If this isn't working, you guys can sign off of that and we're done within 7 days. So again, it's really it's a no risk at this point when it comes to that. So is there anything else that I might have missed? I know we had talked a little bit at the previous meeting around how that process was gonna work, but I just wanna be an open book and be able to kind of showcase and share some of the other additional successes and where we can be a good partner for the city of Vegas.
How does the assessment work? Is
Yeah.
it something that you guys drive around town? Is it something you guys talk with us?
Yep.
And then how do you get it to say like 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year?
Yeah.
How has that worked in other communities?
Yep, and that's exactly what we do. We are not only working with with the five of you and Angela and Public Works and the rest of the departments, we actually have boots on the ground doing all those initial assessments and taking a look at all the needs. We don't necessarily put together that 1 to 2 to 5 to 10 year. We bring you the information that comes out of that assessment, and then we work with you as we're establishing those needs. We're gonna make recommendations just based on all of our years of working, and also taking a look at those funding opportunities and where that may come into play. But that 1 to 2 to 5 to 10 year plan, I can tell you right now, it's gonna move around. Just based on as new opportunities come through, you might, like I said, bring something that maybe would have been on year 5. Well, there's a one-time funding source that came through, that might move it up, but again, it comes to you first to make that decision, if that's what you wanna do. So, yes.
And you've talked a lot about these funding sources that pop up quite frequently. So I am obviously very green to this. Is it something that you do have some funding sources that pop up throughout the year that are fairly consistent, and then some that just might sporadically pop up?
Absolutely,
Absolutely,
yeah,
works?
yep,
Okay.
yep, like I said, on the federal side of things, you have your USDA rural development, and they have kind of an ongoing open application process they have. Not so much funding right now, but that application process is rolling on an ongoing basis. On the state side of things, when you're dealing with Minnesota or with PFA, those things are only on certain dates of the year. So there's dates that are embedded in my head, and then you have the first Friday in March, the first Friday in May, and then the first Friday in June. Those are kind of some of those deadlines. On the state side, when it comes to the public facilities agency, it's a one time a year, and so you have to make sure you hit those marks. But on the other hand, again, you have some of those other funding sources that just pop up. Partially, we knew about this Minnesota Housing. They approved it in 2023, but as state government slow to get things rolled out, all of a sudden they opened it up, and then there was a short window to apply. So those communities that have been planning and that were ready, they were the ones that you're gonna see be able to get those applications to go through. A prime example is a community that we were not the engineer for initially. We came on board, and just with our early work with them, an application had opened up through PCA, and we were able to get a first time funding source. And within 6 weeks of signing the agreement and moving forward, we found out that they received the funding for it. So those are things that they pop up. You don't always have them in place all the time. And so those are onesie twosie kind of things. But then again, you have community foundations. We're working with your county engineers and making sure that we're on task with some of those priorities that come through. There's some transportation dollars that were just approved today and during the special session that'll be rolling out. And so those are things that we're planning for along the way, and so that we're ready. Yeah. Any other questions?
So how, if you got a large project going and you say you use multiple years, how do you know that funding's gonna come next year?
Yeah, and so we just plan. That's the only way that these things work, literally. There's no guarantee that they're going to be there on an annual basis. But we have a rolling plan. So if you're familiar with the USDA rural development, there's
If you use them before.
Yep, exactly. So you have your preliminary engineering report that's included in that. And so they're aware of the projects that are on that list. And so with our communication and working with those funding agency leads, and they're aware of the projects that are coming through. And it takes time. It definitely takes time. And so I'm not saying every year you're gonna have a project rolling, but you're gonna have somebody here reporting on kind of the next steps, what's your plans, if you wanna push things along, that sort of thing.
So if you don't get the funding for the next year that you're planning for,
Then
go to bond, or you stop the project, or?
and that's completely up to you. You can go to bond. That is definitely an option. It's always an option. That's the easy option, right? Like, hey, let's just bond for the project. That we'll do that all day, every day, but that's not an affordable option for communities. And so that might be a portion of the project. It might need to be part of that leverage that comes into play, but that's definitely not our first thing that we're looking for. As stated on the task order too, this initial needs and funding assessment, we would have this done, still yet this summer. So we're working with a short window of time here as well. And so again, that just goes back to, we wanna make sure that we're being respectful of your time, because we know that you have this moving 2026 date on there. We know that there's other priorities that need to be taken care of, and so we want to be responsive to that timeframe and not miss out on another opportunity for that state funding, because that timeframe is going to be here all over again. So.
This original, or this task order we're talking about now, it's no cost to us, the needs assessment.
Correct. Not stop any of the projects that you guys are currently in process at that point. So I do wanna reiterate that when it comes to your
So,
projects.
for example, if we're just gonna throw a random example out there. So say we are redoing City Hall. If we're already in this process and we sign on with you, are you able to help us get funding to finish that current project? Or is it something that we would finish the City Hall project and move on to a next project?
It depends on your guys' comfort level of where you're at within that project. We would take that into consideration as, again, your comfort level of where you're at in a project. It is not uncommon that for us to come in and you can wrap up something that you're currently working with your other previous engineers. We've done that in the past. We've also come in and it's normal. We're always, when we come into play, there was somebody before us. So that transition we do on a regular basis, and we can work with the city as that rolls through too.
Perfect. And how long does it typically take for you guys to do an assessment?
An assessment, it really depends on being able to get these meetings in, be able to get the time working with your staff leads and things like that. So again, when we were looking at this in the spring, the summer, I would say the process would still take place this summer, with probably coming to you in the early fall with that full assessment at that point too.
Too bad to turn around.
The funding would be in place all over that. The funding will not be secured by then.
No, understandable, but even just, it's so nice to have kind of a time frame of what we're looking at to see, okay, this time we're looking at this, if it is, exactly, to maybe take a month to go through, talk to everybody, exactly how you said, feet on the ground, looking through everything, and then to bring it back and analyze it and say, okay, this looks really bad, this looks okay, kind of just to at least have that side of it as well.
Absolutely. You're gonna see the different, your roads. There'll be a B, C, D grade. You're gonna see all of those things, and that's gonna help you prioritize those things. Angela had mentioned that you've already done some different televising in the past 5 years. Like, we're gonna take some of those tools that have already been utilized and be able to bring that. We're not reinventing the wheel that the city's already done work with by any means. So, but we're gonna bring it together so that it's a one-place shop that you guys can make those decisions for sure.
So crazy question, if we come back with this analysis, how many pages is this gonna be? Like, is it gonna be bound?
I don't know, no, it won't be, but, I mean, we've had communities, you got 30 needs on it, that comes through. But then you also have ones that can narrow it down. It really just depends on, once you get those boots on the ground, you mentioned that. And so, you're gonna come to us, you said City Hall, maybe it's some, other street project that you have, there's gonna be a variety of things that come into place. So, that's a great question, but it's
Just everyone needs to be prepared for.
yes, I'm hoping there's no bomb in the
Right.
So that assessments also include the city property buildings?
As in like doing like a building inventory kind
Or-
of thing, or is it public, like publicly owned buildings? Yes, that can be something that's included.
You have a couple of construct.
Mhm. I think it'd be a very good idea for us to look at their needs, and have them do a needs assessment for
I agree, I think this sounds great. So I will make a motion to approve the agreement between, the city of Osakis and Bowling Engineer, or Bowling Engineer, excuse me. Engineering, oh my goodness, I can read.
Do I have a second?
Well, this is just
Just for
It's just the investment.
with a little bit of discussion, I just wanna be an open book here. I don't want the city to be appearing like we're engineering hopping or any, like, I'm just not comfortable with that. Like, I know that we have a company that comes in and they've done a lot of legwork for us, and I just wanna be completely open and lay everything on the table. I don't wanna have that reputation, so I just wanna be clear that this is just an assessment at
And
this point.
That's the test.
But this is an agreement. This is the I mean, this would be an agreement to be be part or one of the city engineers, for this project. And through the work. So this 5-year agreement, that's what this is. And then you have the task order on top of that too. And by no means are you engineering jumping, or if that's what your concern was when it comes to that.
It is,
So, yeah.
it is.
Yep, and we've, in other communities, we have worked with other engineers within that and complemented the project. Like I said, I know you guys have a project going on in the water, and we're not that, they do a wonderful job. Great things, and so that's nothing that would be disrupted with that. We wanna see that to the end, because that's been a long-standing project by all means.
But you said this is this is a 5-year contract.
That is correct, that is the agreement on the owner engineer, correct? And at any point in time, again, it goes, it's the 7 days.
Okay. Now let me, after our meeting the other day, this is a 5-year agreement. But the only time this agreement comes into play is when I have a task order signed working for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this agreement doesn't mean anything.
Any of the work that we do, you'll have a task order in front of you as well, that is correct.
So by approving, or shall I just double check? So my motion to approve working with you, does that include the 5-year
That
task?
is correct.
Okay.
We table this one too until our
That's
workshop?
Well, and here's the thing. By signing this and the task order, all we are asking them to do is the needs assessment. That's it. Once the needs assessment is done, we can do 7 days and we can get rid of this,
Well,
correct?
but if the need is, we're not gonna provide the funding analysis, we're not gonna do all the
Yeah.
legwork unless we have the agreement in
Right,
place. That
right.
is correct. Yes, this is an agreement for sure, and then the task order at this point in time, the very first one would be at no fee.
Right. And we can certainly add this to the workshop and
I think we should.
I would like to see this table just personally. This is a big commitment to, I'd like a little more time to digest it.
no problem.
Nothing against, it was a great presentation, I just,
If we have the workshop and decide to do this needs assessment.
Yep.
Will this date make a difference on here, or can
No, that date we can totally revise, that is absolutely. Again, we came in front of you because we were asked, we were referred, we wanted to make sure we got it, we wanted to get that housing, application in. And just based on the needs that were shared with us and kind of the progress that had been in place, that we wanted to make sure that we gave that opportunity, yes, so.
Motion to table?
I will second that.
motion is made and seconded to table, the capital improvement planning through Foley to our workshop, all in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed, same sign? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Yeah,
Can you
we'll
share
talk
with
soon.
us some contacts from
Yeah.
previous?
Absolutely. Yeah, you want some referrals? Yeah, we can get those for you, for sure. All right, thanks, guys.
Kind of what cities our size are.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Wastewater project I ordinance, discussion of fees for, the city inspection certificate of compliance, monthly surcharges if they don't comply. Do we want to move this to a workshop also?
We have an idea what's typical, so like, is that
I
$20?
was gonna say, there's some information on here.
I got from a couple of cities and both of them said this. I could search for more if you'd
No,
like.
okay, I see it now.
Yeah.
Instead of reading it.
The one thing is just to keep in mind, we have started the compliance, sump pump compliance inspection, so we have sent out compliance letters, and there are some people that are not in compliance that we did send out letters to, so we're in the process of a second letter on some of them that haven't completed it. Same with the, I guess I, once we get into that, we're gonna send them out, so at some point, we wanna have some type of surcharge or fee that's gonna be charged if they don't comply with that. Right now, I don't have somebody that I would, so if we did wait another month, it would be completely fine.
So the $20 is pretty,
That's if they can provide that they're working on, otherwise it's $40 a month is what the two cities I checked with, that's what they had. Otherwise, and that's for the first year, they give them some grace, if they don't do it in the first year, then it's $200 a month, which is quite steep, but they should have it done after that time.
after. I'm fine with that.
And we do give them, you know, in the ordinance, if it's an easy fix, they have 30 days. If not, they can get a 90 days extension to get it done. Of course, over winter, we give them a break until spring, if it were to be found then, so. But if you want me to get more info, I sure can.
No, seems reasonable for the city to do it. It's costing everybody money, so.
But now, are we looking at 3 different fees here?
We are, our ordinance says those three things, the one being, it says that we'd have a fee for doing an inspection, we don't really have a way to do an inspection, so my recommendation would be that it would just be, if we have to line up from, we're gonna pass on whatever cost it is. We're gonna line up a contractor, you're gonna pay that fee, we're not really doing it, cause we don't have capabilities to do it. The second one did have in there, the city would charge a fee to review the inspection report, which the first one would be done by somebody, and then the compliance certificate. So let's say they have a report, they have a video of it, somebody has to look at it and say, yes, it's in compliance, so we write a certificate to them, that's good for 5 years. Does say in there we charge a fee for that, whether the council wants to see a fee for that, or we just, there is no fee, we can put in our fee schedule that there is no fee on that. And then the third one is just if they don't comply, there's a fee. So there are 3 different things. Like I said, if you wanna think about it for a month, that's perfectly fine. Let's get that information out there and have you guys look at it.
I guess I don't see why we would have to wait if,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we need any more information. This is kind of a standard of what other communities do.
But let's touch base on the second one. Are we gonna charge a fee because we have to review the inspection and issue the certificate? So the first one will, whatever the contractor charges,
Yeah,
and then the fee for the certificate of compliance and for the inspection. I'm assuming Darren has to review that?
Right, yeah. And this would be something that's listed in the fee schedule every year once we get adopted, so you can review it. You wanna start out small and change from there, that's perfectly fine.
I was gonna say, how long would it take to review?
I think it depends on the length of it. And I couldn't tell you exactly, we just had one that came in and I did not watch the video, he just looked at it and told me that it complied. So, but
Okay.
that's,
So he's reviewing the video to confirm the certificate, so there's some time going there.
I was gonna say, why don't you ask him tomorrow, if we can put this off for a month? Why don't you check with him tomorrow about how long it takes to review? Because there should be some type of fee as far as his time to have to review that.
But then at least gives us an amount of how long, you know, anywhere between 5 minutes to 20 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So should we just hold off on this till next month and find out Darren's information? So we can take care of that second one right away too, and then cover it all?
Add it to our workshop. Have our information by then.
That's that one.
We're gonna be done.
Do you need a motion for us to add it to the workshop?
I would if that's what you choose to do.
I will make a motion to table the wastewater project I&I ordinance to continue discussion of next workshop.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to table the wastewater project I&I ordinance to our workshop. All in favor say aye. And opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. We have a couple of our special event,
I did have one on the table, which, just for the knowledge of Judy, in the past, when it's been on their property, the council said they don't need to go through and review them. But I always give you the information that we do have one, so that would be the
I was
VFW.
gonna say, so you don't want, we don't need a resolution on that one?
On that one, you don't need a motion, it's the other one that they do.
Okay.
The VFW was just for information.
Yep.
All on their property.
We have one from O Town and one from the car show.
Motion to approve both of them.
Gotta do one here.
Make a motion to approve Old Town's special event on July 12th.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve special event for Old Town Tavern on July 12, 2025, and block Main Street contingent on receiving all necessary approvals and insurance for event. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
What's the time of that?
11 a.m.
It's on here.
The road is closed from 7 AM to 1 AM. But,
Hours of operation for alcohol.
Liquor is, 11 to 1.
Don't they have to have approval, wouldn't the VF have to have approval for the street dance since they don't normally sell alcohol in the parking lot? And she still have.
They need to have approval to go through the process of it, but the council has said, being it's not a block, city street or off their property, they didn't need to go through the process at their meeting. I still make them go through the same process.
Make a motion to pass resolution 2025-15, approve or declare the Osakis Car Show Community Festival event.
second,
Motion is made and seconded for resolution to approve the 2025-15 resolution to declare the Osakis Car Show a community festival event. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Auditor. We received updated census estimate from the Minnesota Department, or Minnesota State Demographic Center. Yep, just for
That's been
information.
cool, you know.
And then calendar, Laura.
The thing that I wanted to highlight, because we won't have a meeting before, what's coming up is I would encourage the council to attend as many of the festival events that are coming up. The chamber's working really hard with all the different organizations in town. There's stuff going on Thursday through Sunday. Sidewalk sales, there'll be a medallion hunt, hotfish social. There's gonna be a meat raffle at the pub that the chamber is helping with, and karaoke. There's gonna be stuff down at the park on Saturday. All this stuff will be in the paper and it's on social media, but I think it's really important that we have a presence at some of these events, so, if we can make it at all to any of these, the street dance, the parade on Sunday, and the ribbon cutting, I think would be really important, for the piers, so, just as a reminder.
I was saying that looks.
Yeah, mention the dates, Laura, just for public.
Nineteenth, 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
And the ribbon cutting was
Is the
22nd.
Yeah.
Yep. So a lot of times the parade stops at Park Osaki.
Yeah.
Are we going all the way down to the beach this year?
I don't think so, I think it's.
Okay, it just stops again there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so just Twyla Irene from the grocery store,
Yep.
she is
Sharing
doing the
that,
parade
yeah.
this year, so if anybody,
Michaela, right?
with Michaela, yep. So that's a little bit of a change, but again, the chamber's really trying to work with everyone and make it a success, so please attend all the events. That's all I have.
Ribbon cutting approximately 3 o'clock.
Oh, thank you.
The Heritage Center is trying to do root beer floats, you know, the visitors center.
Oh, on Sunday for the parade or?
Sure, that's a good thing. I don't remember. They just said for the car show.
Okay.
That's what he was.
Not for the
That's
festival.
Car show.
okay.
What's that picture?
I think you guys will.
I'll take better notes next time, sorry.
There's so many questions.
There's always something going on.
I just wanted to mention
That's
it, so in
good.
case,
And that's the.
there'll be a sign outside.
Yeah.
It'll probably be in the, it'll be in the, visitor centers, because they need coolers and stuff, so that's, we'll just say, second order.
Well, then I will entertain a motion for meeting. Motion has been made and seconded during the meeting, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Have a great evening.
Because my other sister.